Welcome back, hockey fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the Florida Panthers and their fans. I am beyond jealous. Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions after closing out the Oilers in Game 6 at home by a score of 5-1. And wow, guys, what a series. What an incredible series of hockey we were all treated to. This one had it all. Overtimes, a double overtime, fisticuffs, just beautiful playoff hockey on display in this finals. It was just amazing to watch. I was super jealous of both teams and their fans as they got to enjoy the finals, ultimately ending in heartbreak for McDavid and the Oilers once again at the hands of the Florida Panthers. But wow. What a series. What a series. Just to quickly go over the series, and what a series it was. Game 1 in Edmonton, Oilers win by a score of 4-3. Draisaitl, the overtime hero, and a very entertaining game. And then back in Edmonton for Game 2, another very entertaining, tight game. Panthers prevail by a score of 5-4 in double overtime. Bradmarchand, the hero in that one. Series all tied up at 1. Heading to Florida, Game 3, the Panthers just took the Oilers to the woodshed, beating them by a score of 6-1. That one was a little bit of a, anticlimactic type of game. Sometimes those happen even in tight series where teams are somewhat evenly matched. Panthers just putting it on them in the first game in Florida, and just, wow, what a game. And then we go to Game 4. I expected much more from the Panthers in this one. They got out to a big start, had a 3-0 lead in Game 4, and then blew it. The Oilers showing that never-say-die attitude, and the Oilers prevail by a score of 5-4 in overtime. Draisaitl, the overtime hero again. Series tied up at 2, and wow, that one was a stunner. Coming off of the beatdown in Game 3, I thought the Panthers were just going to run them out of the building and run away with the series, and it kind of looked like that after the lead, the big 3-0 lead, and then Oilers find a way to dig deep and get it done. And after that, Game 4, all tied up at 2, I was like, wow, maybe the Oilers, aren't going to go away quietly. Maybe they're going to find a way to redeem themselves for last season, and obviously the beating they took in Game 3, but all tied up at 2. After 4 games, we go back to Edmonton for Game 5, and this is the one that I'm sure Edmonton would love to have back. A squandered opportunity to take the lead in the series at home, and the Panthers win by a score of 5-2 in Game 5. Brad Marchand with a 2-goal game, including the game-winning goal. I mean, wow. What a performance by the Panthers on the road in that Game 5 to head back to Florida for Game 6 with a chance to capture the Cup on home ice for back-to-back seasons. Not only back-to-back Cup champs, but winning on home ice 2 years in a row. What a feeling. I am so jealous of the Panthers fans. My God, what an era. What an era of Panthers hockey. Unbelievable stuff, guys. I hope you're enjoying it and soaking it in. It's not going to last forever. As a longtime Devils fan, we had our little run, and eventually all good things come to an end. But enjoy it while you have it. I think the Panthers are built to contend for quite a few years. Crazy stuff. Panthers back in the home barn for Game 6, and they just close it out in champion fashion. They close the show like the champions they are. Panthers with a massive 5-1 win in the cup-clinching game. Reinhart with 4 goals. He should have had the game winner, but the Panthers gave one up late, and so Matthew Tkachuk gets credited with the game-winning goal. He scored the second one, and what an unbelievable performance. And obviously 2 of the goals were on an empty net, but still. 4 goals in a cup-clinching game. I mean, Sam Reinhart, come on down. What a performance for the ages. Conn Smythe, very interesting. Very interesting. As many of you know, I'm a massive Sam Bennett fan. I love the throwback type of players. He does a little bit of everything. Nasty, nasty man. Hits. Will fight if he has to. Could pass, could shoot. Just a high-energy guy. An absolute beauty of a man. A guy that every fan would love to have on their team, if they're being honest. Cap hit aside and all that stuff, that's a whole topic for another day. But Sam Bennett is a dog. Absolute dog. And I thought he was going to win the Conn Smythe, and he did. A much-deserved Conn Smythe for Sam Bennett. A amazing postseason. Amazing postseason, 15 goals, 5 in the Cup Finals alone. Sam Bennett, you are a dog, you are a warrior, and you are the man. You are the 2025 Conn Smythe winner as the most valuable player of the NHL playoffs. But I did think towards the end of the game, some other guys had a chance. There was definitely some other guys in the conversation, I believe. Brad Marchand, I thought, had a chance to win. He had a lot of big moments and big goals throughout the playoffs and in the finals. He had 6 goals in the finals alone, 2 of them game winners. So, 2 Cup Finals game-winning goals. Thought there was a chance he could squeak in there and get it. And then, obviously, the big one that I thought may have shifted in that cup-clinching game, I thought Sam Reinhart may have stolen the Conn Smythe. Big series for him as well. He had 7 goals in the finals. He scored in games 3, 4, and 5, and then obviously had the 4 goals in the cup clincher. I thought that might sway some of the voters and that Reinhart may have stolen the Conn Smythe away in that game, but it did not happen. They gave it to Sam Bennett. I think it was much deserved. He would have been my vote. I'm a Sam Bennett fan, but, that's not the reason why. I just think that the playoff resume for this season speaks for itself. He had quite a run and much deserved. And free agency is going to be an interesting thing. I'll get to that in a little bit. But Bennett and Marchand, free agents, and lots of teams are going to be backing up the truck. I'll get to that in a little bit. But we look at the playoff stats for the back-to-back Cup champs. And you look here, wow, what a team. When you just look at the names on the list and then you see the production and wow. Sam Reinhart, 21 games played, 11 goals, 12 assists for 23 points. Great performance by him. Matty Tkachuk, one of my favorite players in the league, as many of you also know. Him and Brady, complete throwbacks. I love their old man. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say, and these guys are beasts. Both Tkachuk brothers are probably my favorite non-Devils players in the entire league. Matthew Tkachuk in the 23 games, 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points. A smooth 1 point per game for him. And did you guys see the photos of him in the locker room afterwards, dancing around with beer and champagne and cigars? What a legend. And I said this to somebody online late last night. If Matthew Tkachuk never played another game for the Florida Panthers, his number 19 jersey should be up in the rafters at the arena, and I think it would be. Talk about a game changer, the catalyst to the turnaround for the franchise. Yeah, they had some pieces in place, but when Zito went out and got Tkachuk 3 summers ago, it changed the franchise forever. 3 straight Cup Finals appearances, including back-to-back Cup champions. Wow. What a legend. But 23 points for him. Then you see Carter Verhaeghe, 23 games, 7 goals, 16 assists, also 23 points for a point per game. And then Sam Bennett, the Conn Smythe winner in 23 games, 15 goals, 7 assists, 22 points. Barkov, 6 goals, 16 assists, 22 points. Brad Marchand, 10 and 10. 10 goals, 10 assists for 20 points. And the list goes on and on. Lister Reinen, 5 and 14 for 19 points. Lundell, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points. Rodriguez, 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points. Aaron Ekblad, 13 points in the 19 games he played. It's just crazy. You just look up and down the lineup. Nate Schmidt, 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points in 23 games. 13 points from Ekblad, 12 from Schmidt. Love to see contributions from the blue line. And then you see Seth Jones, an in-season acquisition. What do you know? In-season acquisition by Zito. He has that finger on the pulse of his team, and he flipped the right switches once again and gets it done. What a cunning GM. Shout out to Bill Zito. He's done an amazing job in Florida, and wow. Absolutely astonishing stuff. Seth Jones finishes with 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points in 23 games, and what a team. What an absolute team. After the game when they were skating the cup, it was funny to see all the former New Jersey Devils get the cup. And, Nosek, Vanacek, Greer, Boquist. A lot of people were having fun with that online as well. It is what it is. None of them were massive parts of the team, but parts of the team nonetheless. And their names will be on the Stanley Cup. But when you look at this team, when you look at the Florida Panthers and you watch the games, winners and dogs, period. Winners, dogs, warriors, up and down the lineup, play for keeps, play hard. When that playoff starts, they flip the switch. They're an intense team always during the regular season as well. But when the playoffs come, they just kick it up to another level. And it's going to be hard for many teams to compete with them. They just are tenacious. They're nasty. And if you just don't see that that is a necessary element to win in the playoffs, I just don't know what people are watching. People are trying to say, oh, they're skilled. And it's not. Of course they're skilled. They're a great team. Of course they're skilled. But a lot of the skill comes from the ability to fight through checks, smash guys, make plays, go to the corner, maybe take a devastating hit to make a play, run into the crease hard, look for rebounds. Just overall scrappy players that do not break down when the game gets physical. They thrive in that environment. And not every team has those types of players. You need those players to win, and that in itself is a skill. Period. Hard-nosed hockey, and that's what you need to win in the playoffs. Toughness is a mindset to some extent, but I believe you have to be physically tough as well. Some guys are mentally tough, and they might not be the biggest or toughest physical guys, but they play with an edge because that's kind of their mentality. And then there's some guys that are physically tough that may not play as chippy depending on their temperament. And then there's some guys that are both. I want the Devils to get guys that are both mentally and physically tough, and the Panthers have a plethora of them. You just see what they're doing out there, and you're like, this is amazing to watch. And I've said that for years. That is an ingredient that I hope my New Jersey Devils could add a little bit, specifically in the top six, right? It's nice to have some physicality in the bottom six, but I do believe you need to have that element up and down the lineup, including in the top six. That really will kind of morph the identity of your team. And right now, I do think my Devils are unfortunately somewhat a ways away, but, things could change with a couple big acquisitions. We'll keep an eye on that, as the season progresses for us Devils fans. But wow, Panthers fans, I'm super jealous. But then you also want to talk about, willingness to win and all that stuff. After the game, it's revealed, we see this tweet here from Steven Wino, and this was, I guess, based on the Paul Maurice post-game press conference. Aleksander Barkov had a hand cut open in Game 1. Sutures came apart twice before it was glued shut. This man had his hand cut open. They tried to stitch it. It didn't work, and then they glued his friggin' hand shut. And the guy's playing. I mean, warrior stuff. Sam Reinhart had a grade 2 MCL strain. Guy's playing with an MCL strain. How many players in the league would be like, I'm injured, I can't play? Tons. And that's not to kind of throw shade at those players, but there's lots of guys that will not risk their body, potentially, longer injury or whatever. A lot of people will be cautious and say, I have a grade 2 MCL strain. I'm going to watch from the press box. Not Sam Reinhart. Grade 2 MCL strain, playing through it. Matthew Tkachuk had an adductor torn off the bone. He also had a hernia. He was shut down towards the end of the regular season, and the guy comes back in the playoffs and just does what Warriors do. Point per game. One of the emotional leaders of the team. Absolute beast. Wish the Devils could have landed him a few seasons ago, but, didn't happen. And he has subsequently turned around the Florida Panthers franchise. And wow. That's what good GMs do, guys. And again, credit to Bill Zito. What a GM. On March 1st, he brings in Seth Jones from Chicago. He gets Brad Marchand at the deadline. What amazing ads. Completely amazing ads. I wasn't sure at the time how Seth Jones would pan out for them. I think the Panthers are kind of one of those teams that a lot of guys, because they're such an established system and a locker room and the culture there everyone talks about is great. All they want to do is win. It seems like all the guys really care about winning and each other. And, Seth Jones I wasn't sure about, but I thought he probably could thrive there because of what a foundation is there in Florida. But Marchand, when I heard that, I was like, the Rat King, that guy is going to fit down there perfectly. I said it the day they got him. It just seemed like, a perfect fit for the Panthers, their style of play. Can't say enough about Marchand. And at the time before the trade, leading up to it, when the rumors were circulating that Marchand was going to be available, myself and a lot of Devils fans were very intrigued. I didn't think the Devils had a chance of getting him because, I think Marchand obviously had a big hand in determining where he was going to go. And so I don't think he would have had any interest in coming to New Jersey. But just kind of as online conversations go, surprisingly enough, there was a lot of Devils fans that said they weren't interested. I mean, I just don't understand how you wouldn't have wanted a guy like that. The guy's a warrior, a gamer, and most of all, a winner. Period. Cups, gold medals, he's won it all. He has that chippiness. He plays the feisty game. Playoff performer, showed it once again in this playoffs. A huge role in the Panthers win. And wow, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see his free agent status as well. And I guess that's the biggest question mark for the Panthers heading into the offseason is who are they going to lose? Who's going to be brought back? Sam Bennett, obviously the Conn Smythe winner. What a performance for him. He is certainly going to fetch a ton of interest in free agency. There's been tons of rumors and speculations and people putting out videos and articles and all this stuff that Bennett could command around $10 million in free agency. With the cap going up, there's going to be a lot of teams bidding for his services, and I do think he will get probably somewhere close to that number. I don't know if he's going to get the $10 million, but nothing would surprise me anymore. If a GM kind of identifies him as the piece that will get them over the hump and make them a true cup contender, I could see someone paying the $10 million. I could also see him, making in that 8.5 to 9.5 range, but it's going to be interesting. I do think a lot of people are going to be floored with some of the contracts we see signed this summer in free agency because the cap going up and where the projections are for the cap in the future. People have to realize, people are like, oh, this guy makes this, and how are you going to pay Bennett $10 million? It's a whole new world now. With the cap continuing to go up, look at percentage of the overall cap. That's what people need to realize, right? People are looking at straight dollar figures, and I think it's throwing their brains off a little bit, and they're not fully understanding, like, how could this guy make, $7 million, and this guy's now going to get 10 or 11, whatever it is for these different guys. And it's because the cap going up. Look at percentage of cap. I'm going to probably do a couple other videos in the not-too-distant future talking about the reality of the cap going up and what it's going to do for player salaries. But Bennett going to have tons of interest, as will Marchand, 37 years old, coming off a monster playoff as well. A lot of rumors out there. People are saying teams might offer him, I think I've seen some speculations at like 3 years, $8 million a year. They're going to be two of the hottest free agents in the market, period. Two dogs, two winners, both had incredible playoffs, and lots of teams would love to add either one of them to the roster. As a Devils fan, I'd be ecstatic with either one of them. I realize, for a variety of reasons, it's not realistic whatsoever. I would say the chance of the Devils landing either one of those guys is probably at like 0.05%, if that, just because of the Devils' cap space, where they're at, those particular players' interest in coming to the Devils, and for all that kind of rolled into consideration, I just don't see it being realistic whatsoever, but I'd be ecstatic with either one of those guys. I do think they would do wonders for the Devils on and off the ice in terms of production, culture, leadership, but I don't think it's going to happen, but it's going to be interesting to see. If I'm a Panthers fan, I certainly want them both back. I believe Zito will try to move heaven and earth to get them both back. The question is now, how much do they value winning versus, the bag, as they say? The money is going to be flowing from everywhere, and lots of teams are going to be bidding on them. It's going to be a very interesting summer for the Panthers and their fans to kind of see where this all leads them. But if I'm either one of those guys, I'm certainly trying to go back to Florida. And without the state income tax in Florida, these guys can give the Panthers a little bit of a team discount and still not get hurt as much financially because of the fact there is no state tax. On these contracts that are millions and millions of dollars, that is a huge advantage for teams to land free agents and in this situation possibly retain free agents. I'm going to do a whole nother video on this because this one I've been talking about for quite some time now. It is a crazy kind of element or nuance of contracts in the league, and I do think it has to be addressed, but I'm going to make a separate video on that before free agency. It is an interesting topic. Wow. But wow. We get to the bracket challenge. I can't forget the bracket challenge. The bracket challenge, here are the final standings for the prize winners. First place, BK Realistic Bracket with 283 points. We have Go Habs Galleys number 3 in second place with 228 points, and we have Lone Alpha 1. Lone Alpha's bracket 1 in third place with 218 points. Obviously, all had the Panthers repeating as Cup champs. So for these three people, please shoot me an email. I will get your prizes sorted. Congratulations. My bracket was done in the first round. One of the worst years I've ever had making a bracket. And, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have horrible brackets. This year was one of them for me. Wow. Let me take a breath here. I'm just thinking about all this. I mean, wow, what a time to be a Panthers fan. And if I'm being honest, this Panthers team kind of reminds me of the 2000 New Jersey Devils, an absolutely loaded team, just character guys up and down the lineup. They had a little bit of everything. They had the tenacious, gritty players. They had the high-end offensive threat, great blue line, obviously the great Marchand, Brodeur, and net. I mean, I do think that 2000 Devils team, because of just how insane, the names are, I have to put them probably in one of the highest tiers of teams all time. And I know a lot of people probably disagree with that, but I don't think that's being a homer. When you have a team with the greatest goalie of all time in net and two of the best defensemen of all time in Scott Stevens and Scott Niedermayer on the blue line, with great players like Mogilny and Patty Elias, Claude Lemieux, Jason Arnott, the A-line, the whole thing. When you have, shout out to my boy Gomer, when you have a team like that, it's a great team. 3 all-time greats, tons of all-stars, tons of great players. But this team kind of reminds me of that in the way that they do have some of the big names, but then they have some more under-the-radar guys that also perform. They have every characteristic, could roll 4 lines. Just what a team. And they give me that kind of feeling. And Panthers fans enjoy it. Like I said, it doesn't last forever, but wow. Back-to-back Cup champs, 3 finals appearances in a row. It seems like they are going to be a legitimate threat and contender for the foreseeable future. I was talking to Steve the Maniac last night, and he was saying, if you're a GM and you're not actively trying to build a team to beat the Panthers, you should be fired immediately. And it's true. The Panthers, I've been saying for a while now, they are the gold standard, period. The gold standard. Just look at the track record. There's nothing to argue. 3 finals appearances in a row, back-to-back Cup champs. I mean, very good regular seasons. They're getting it done. They are the king of the league, and they're the team that everyone's chasing. And if you're a GM not trying to figure out a way to build a team to take them out, you're not doing your damn job. But interesting summer coming up for the Panthers. Who stays, who goes. And then we get to the other side. Before I wrap up here, we get to the other side, the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers fans got to be down bad. I feel bad for them. And while I would love to see my beloved New Jersey Devils make it to back-to-back Cup Finals, to lose in a Game 7 like they did last year and then to lose the way they did this year after winning Game 1, heartbreaking stuff. Heartbreaking stuff. And then obviously the big question looming, and you're going to see tons of things talking and speculating about this. It's going to heat up in the next couple days and weeks, but you'll probably be hearing it all season long, is where does this leave Connor McDavid? Connor McDavid is entering for next season, the 25-26 season, the last year on his contract. I'm sure a lot of Oilers fans, their executive team, are all very uneasy about this, as they should be. It's a very interesting scenario. Does McDavid want to stay in Edmonton? Does he believe they could win? I mean, again, good regular seasons, made it to back-to-back finals, couldn't get it done. Does McDavid want out of Edmonton, or does he want to see it through and win a cup there? He is Canadian. I think that does matter to some extent. I do think a lot of Canadian kids, grow up playing in Canada and representing their country at different, tournaments and things. I think they do feel some sort of allegiance to some extent to Canadian markets. I don't know that Edmonton is the kind of premier destination at the moment for a lot of players, but it still is in Canada. He's a Canadian kid. Maybe that comes into play. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he wants to go to the big city like Gretzky did when he left the Oilers for LA. Does McDavid want to stay put, or does he want to play in a bigger market? Does he want to go to a team that he feels is better suited to win a cup? These are all questions that the Oilers are going to have to answer. I'm sure they're going to try to get him extended, and I'm sure McDavid probably will not be in a hurry to do so. And with the cap going up, right? I mean, wow, what's his deal going to be? That's going to be something insane. But is it possible that he's not extended anytime soon, and we approach the trade deadline of next season with McDavid being a pending free agent? What a blockbuster summer that would be. If somehow he just doesn't sign and the Oilers, I don't think they would trade him at the trade deadline, even if he doesn't have an extension in place. I feel like they would, try everything they could up until the very last moment, leading up to July 1 to try to retain him. But who knows where his head is at? Back-to-back losses. And obviously, you don't know what he's thinking, right? He might blame the franchise for not finally getting a legitimate number 1 goalie. And again, not to talk smack, but Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard ain't it. That is not a tandem that I want to, risk my team's fortunes on. I just don't. And if you're McDavid, you look at that and you say, are we really trying to win? Why or have we not gotten a goalie? A lot of people have questioned the goaltending situation in Edmonton for quite some time. And I'm not going to say it cost them the series. I do believe they were outmatched and outgunned by the Panthers. But I do believe if they had a better goalie, the series would have been closer. I mean, it was close in the beginning, but then in the end, it just melted down. I don't know. It's tough to say. But I do think a real goalie, a legitimate 1A starter, could make the difference in the future for sure, and I think it would have at least helped them in this series. Again, I don't know that they would have won with a better goalie. You never know. Goalies could steal games, get hot. You never know. But going into battle with a tandem of Skinner and Pickard, I just think has to leave a bad taste in his mouth, and I'm sure that will be the number one pressing want for the Oilers this offseason. I mean, how could it not be? We saw, flip-flopping back and forth, Skinner and Pickard and Skinner and Pickard. And then Pickard didn't have a great Game 5, obviously, and then the questions are, who's going to start Game 6? I figured they would go back to Skinner. Not an ideal situation to be in. You kind of want to ride or die with your horse. Neither one of them is that horse, and so they are probably going to look to either make a trade or sign somebody that would be an improvement over those guys. And I have to say, are they tempted to make a play for Jake Allen? I joked about this a few weeks back. I do think Jake Allen gives you a better chance to win than either one of those guys. Now, would I want Jake Allen to be my everyday starter if I'm the Oilers or any other team for that matter? No, not ideal. But these two guys aren't ideal either. I think Allen could be a great tandem 1B guy for the Oilers. I don't know that they're going to miraculously produce a bona fide starter. It's not like, guys like Hellebuck and Ottinger are available on a day-to-day basis, but they need to do something. Whether that's get a guy like Allen, try to make a trade for a goalie, I don't know. But I think all eyes on Edmonton to finally properly address the situation in net, put their team in the best position to win, and not have to deal with these kind of goaltending follies, because I'm sure McDavid's thinking the same thing. And as free agency approaches next season, if his contract is not in place, it's going to be wild. It is going to be a wild summer. And the trade deadline, I'm sure, before that even, there's going to be tons of people speculating about them possibly trading him. I just don't think they could do it. What a mega haul he would command at the deadline. But I think the Oilers, assuming they're in the playoffs, which I don't see how they wouldn't be, assuming they're going to be in the playoffs next year, even without the contract, you have to go into the playoffs with McDavid and hope for the best and hopefully try to win a cup. But, wow. I don't envy their executive team whatsoever. It is going to be a constantly talked about thing till it's finally settled one way or another. And there's going to be a ton of teams in the McDavid sweepstakes if it ever comes to it, whether that's for a trade or the free agent signing afterwards. And someone jokingly was talking about McDavid to the Rangers last night online, and they had like a mocked up, AI graphic, and I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Man, McDavid, ABR, anyone but Rangers. If McDavid somehow ends up on the Rangers, guys, I would throw up. I could totally see it too. I don't know. There's so many moving parts to it, but the league would certainly love it. Having McDavid in a major market, New York City, and I'm sure McDavid's financial team and agents and all these people are probably in his ear saying, go to a place like that and the endorsement money they'll be making it rain. But who knows? Maybe he stays put and he really tries to bring a cup back to Edmonton. I'm very curious to see how that all plays out. But McDavid in a major market like New York would be insane. Just the endorsements and the hype. But does he want to win? And does McDavid believe a place like the Rangers gives him a better chance to win the cup than where he is now, or possibly somewhere else? I don't know. I am super excited to see how that all plays out. Things like this don't happen too often. It's going to be interesting one way or another. But I don't know. I think the Oilers might make a play for Jake Allen. If not, they're going to have to find a goalie somewhere. And the offseason continues for us Devils fans, guys. What a long offseason. But again, congratulations to Zito, the Panthers. I mean, their fans. What a tremendous run. Super jealous. I hope my Devils could return to glory at some point before I die. Never thought back in 2003 during our last cup that I'd be sitting here 22 years later lamenting about the fact that I may never see another one. I would have never thought it. Even in 2003, I'm like, Marty's going to play another, 5 to 8 years at least. We still have some great pieces. We probably got to get at least one more before Marty's done. We made it to the finals in 2012 and unfortunately couldn't beat the Kings in a mostly horrific decade to follow. And here we are, guys. But hoping for the best. I said a lot in this video. Let me know what you guys thought about anything I said in the comments. Obviously, for my Devils fans, anything everything New Jersey Devils hockey. Throw it out there in the comments as well. I enjoy talking to all of you. I'll be back soon. I have a ton of things in the works. I've been pretty busy past couple weeks, but I'm going to ramp back up over the next couple weeks or so leading into free agency with lots of stuff that I've seen discussed out there that I want to address, including potential trades and free agents and all this other stuff. But, the summer leading up to the draft and free agency is clickbait central. I've seen so many ridiculous things out there that's just like, oh my God. But, I get it. It's the name of the game. People trying to get clicks, views, whatever it is. It's all good. I enjoy reading some of the nonsense or watching it, but I will be back soon. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go. Jazz.